Hi everyone, welcome to Current Events Articles in Psychology. I just wanted to express a warm welcome to you for joining me in this adventure. We will be reviewing current articles on various psychological topics to include human sexuality, dating, love, health and wellness, and lots of more articles. Anyway, but the best part is we are going to learn how to interpret each topic using the main perspectives in psychology, such as the behavioral model and the cognitive model, the sociocultural model, and so on and so on. So first, I will review a particular article, then present a lecture on psychology's perspectives. Then you pick one psychological perspective and tell me how that particular perspective interprets the finding of the article. How fun is that? I am so excited to see all of your responses. And you know my motto, go where you are celebrated, not where you are tolerated. Learn lots and smile even more. This article is entitled, How a Boy's Offer of $1 to a Homeless Man Sparked an Incredible Friendship. Okay, let's get started. It is by Alexa Cimino for Daily Mail. A Louisiana boy offered money to a man he thought was homeless. He was on the street, who turned out to be a multimillionaire. On Good Friday, Matt, a Baton Rouge local, woke up to the sound of a fire alarm and rushed out of his apartment wearing whatever he could find in his room. While he was waiting for the commotion to subside, Matt went to grab a coffee right across the street and get his day started. After getting his coffee, Matt decided to wait outside and set time aside for a morning prayer. He chose a corner of the patio. He closed his eyes, crossed his arms, and began meditating. At that moment, a young boy named Kevin saw Matt standing in the corner, and he assumed he was homeless. Kevin told local news station WBRZ that he has always wanted to help a homeless person. So he walked right up to Matt and offered him some money. I said, "Excuse me, sir, are you homeless? Because if you are, here's $1. Kevin recounted. Matt responded, touched, "No, I'm actually not homeless. I actually live across the street in a condo apartment." He was confused. He didn't really know what to do. And I quote, Kevin said, he was confused. He really didn't know what to do. He ain't take the $1 though. "I'm not mad about it," said Kevin. To return to the act of kindness, Matt offered to buy Kevin and his father some breakfast. Kevin said he got a biscuit, a sunny side up egg, and some cheese, while his dad got a coffee. Kevin has always wanted to give back to the less fortunate, but never had money with him. "I had money. It wasn't that much, but it could still help him get something," said Kevin. Back at the coffee shop, Kevin and Matt talked about everything from sports to first loves and heartbreak, as Kevin had recently broken up with his girlfriend. WBRZ arranged for Matt and Kevin's second meetup. Sylvester Weatherspoon, a reporter with the local station, informed Kevin that Matt was actually far from homeless. In fact, Matt is the co-founder of Wild Game Innovations, has made appearances on 2 reality TV shows, and is launching 3 new hunting companies. His success in the hunting industry has made Matt a multimillionaire. If you Google him, you'll see he's famous. Kevin asked Matt, shocked beyond belief. Matt was the first millionaire Kelvin had actually met. So Kevin joked around and said, if you're my first millionaire I've met, you can lend me a couple of bucks, right? Matt lent him more than a couple of bucks. He brought Kevin a ton of merch from his store and offered him a 40-second shopping spree with nothing off limits. That's how Kevin brought home a brand new bike worth $2,000. You gave the only money in your pocket to me in thinking I was a homeless man. And that speaks volume of your character, he said. This generation that's coming up, if they're more like Kelvin, they're gonna give. They're gonna be filled with joy. They're gonna be happy. They're gonna change the community, change the parish, change the state, change the world. Matt turned to Kevin and he said, you have that power. You can do that. And thus began a wonderful friendship. This is how a boy's offer of $1 to a homeless man sparked an incredible friendship. So tell me, what do you think? Do you think this is somewhat realistic in this day and age? I'm sure you've all been watching the news media, and we are bombarded with nothing but negative news stories. And this positive story, I don't know, when I read it, it actually made me feel warm, hopeful, and optimistic. Now, listen to my next lecture on abnormal behaviors and psychological perspectives. Tell me, which perspective would you choose to explain Kelvin's altruistic behaviors and Matt's response to it? In this lecture, we will review the different perspectives on abnormal behavior. Those in the field of abnormal psychology study people's emotional, cognitive, and/or behavioral problems. Abnormal behavior may be defined as behavior that is disturbing, which is socially unacceptable, distressing, maladaptive, which is self-defeating, and often the result of distorted thoughts, which are cognitions. There are a number of different perspectives used in abnormal psychology. While some psychologists or psychiatrists may focus on a single viewpoint, many mental health professionals use elements from multiple areas in order to better understand and treat psychological disorders. Let us first begin with the medical perspectives. This approach to abnormal psychology focuses on the biological causes of mental illness, emphasizing understanding the underlying cause of disorders, which might include genetic inheritance, related physical illnesses, infections, and chemical imbalances. Medical treatments are often pharmaceutical in nature, although medication is often used in conjunction with some type of psychotherapy. Okay, so those who hold a medical perspective focus on biological and psychological factors as causes of abnormal behavior, which is treated as a disease or mental illness and is diagnosed through symptoms and cured through treatment. Hospitalization and drugs are often preferred methods of treatment rather than psychological investigation. Recent research linking biochemical disorders with some abnormal behaviors has provided some support for this approach. Okay, next, let's move on to the psychodynamic perspective. This perspective has its roots in the theories of Sigmund Freud. The psychoanalytic approach suggests that many abnormal behaviors stem from unconscious thoughts, desires, and memories. While these feelings are outside of awareness, they are still believed to influence conscious actions. Therapists who take this approach believe that by analyzing their memories, behaviors, thoughts, and even dreams, people can uncover and deal with some of the feelings that have been leading to maladaptive behaviors and distress. So again, the psychodynamic perspective proposed as an alternative to the medical approach evolved from Freudian psychoanalytic theory, which contends that psychological disorders are the consequence of anxiety produced by unresolved, unconscious conflicts. Treatment focus on identification and resolution of the conflicts. Now, let's move on to the behavioral perspective. This approach to abnormal psychology focuses on observable behaviors. In behavioral therapy, the focus is on reinforcing positive behaviors and not reinforcing maladaptive behaviors. The behavioral approach targets only the behavior itself, not the underlying causes. When dealing with abnormal behavior, a behavioral therapist might utilize strategies such as classical conditioning and operant conditioning to help eliminate unwanted behaviors and teach new desired behaviors. So, those espousing a behavioral perspective contend that abnormal behavior results from faulty or ineffective learning and conditioning. Treatments are designed to reshape disordered behavior and using traditional learning procedures to treat new, more appropriate, and more adaptive responses. For example, a behavioral analysis of a case of child abuse might suggest that a father abuses his children because he learned the abusive behavior from his father and must now learn more appropriate parenting tactics. Okay, so moving on to the cognitive perspective. The cognitive approach to abnormal psychology focuses on how internal thoughts, perceptions, and reasoning contribute to psychological disorders. Cognitive treatments typically focus on helping the individual change their thoughts or reactions. Cognitive therapy might also be used in conjunction with behavioral methods in a technique known as cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. So, according to the cognitive perspective, people engage in abnormal behavior because of particular thoughts and behaviors that are often based upon their false assumptions. Treatments are oriented towards helping the maladjusted individual develop new thought processes and new values. Therapy is a process of unlearning maladaptive habits and replacing them with more useful ones. Okay, and the final perspective of today's lecture is entitled The Social Cultural Perspective. From the social cultural perspective, abnormal behavior is learned within a social context ranging from the family to the community, to the culture. Cultural variables acquired through learning and cognitive processes are believed to be important and produce an abnormal behavior. Anorexia and bulimia, for example, are psychological disorders found mostly in Western cultures, which value the thin female body.